Hey guys, welcome back to Outlaw Country. Another beautiful day. Listen to me huffing and puffing. That's what happens when you... I think I've been about 2 hours non-stop. And it's pretty rugged. I just got up to the top of the ridge and I got some flat ground now, so I'll be able to catch my wind, but it's pretty rough, this draw that I've been hiking up. Anyhow, I got one more game camera with me, and all my other cameras are out right now. So I'm gonna get this camera set up in this spot here because I want to do some hunting here in here this fall. So I'm going to set this camera up and leave it here till probably November or something, but I can check it periodically. And all my other cameras are out. So, and next weekend, so I don't know what day you're going to be watching this video. You might be watching this one on Friday probably. And this is probably going to be the Friday of a long weekend for us here in Canada. And I am heading to a very special spot. I'm heading to my cabin, but I'm heading into my special little secret lake that I know any of you longtime subscribers, I know you're well aware of it. So this little lake that I go into quite often fishing, I've had a ton of shit go down in there. Okay, very first time I went in there with, not the very first time I went in there, but been going there for a long time. Went in there one time with Mrs. Outlaw, and we had something knocking the shit out of some trees. Kind of startled us, and she didn't want to go in, so went back in myself. About a week later, same thing. I was out fishing on the lake, and something was banging on the trees. And then I went in there another time, and that's where I saw the bones up in the tree. The large bones propped together to make the letter T, which somebody many months ago commented maybe that's like no trespassing, because there was big bones that big, 2 big leg bones, and they're stuck up in a tree up on a cliff. There's no way that I could have ever gotten close to those bones. And then I had something huffing and puffing and snorting at me in there another time. So I've had a lot of interaction in this area, in this little lake of mine. And it's the spot that Steve Isdall and I were, and maybe one day we still can make it happen. Unfortunately, Steve's schedule is, I think, so busy that, I haven't talked to him in a long time. He's just so busy. But anyways, maybe sometime we'll make that happen. Him and I were going to head in there with no cameras, no nothing, and go spend a night in there together. And who knows, maybe we'll make that happen. So anyways, next weekend I'm heading into the lake, and I'm going to do a bunch of video in there because I got 2 cameras in there that have been set up in there now all winter. Okay, and I'm pretty excited to go back in there and get those cameras, because God only knows what could be on those cameras. I'm hoping I got some pretty good footage. So anyways, I'm going to get up in the flats here, do a little bit of hiking, and then we'll sit down and bang off an email for you guys, because they keep coming. They keep coming. This moss is just incredible. It's like sitting in the most comfortable chair you've ever sat in your life. Actually, you know what? Maybe this would be a better spot to sit with it. Kind of want to leave my pack on right now. That's much better. I can rest my back a little bit. I put on a lot of miles out here, but I friggin' love it. Gets me in shape, keeps me in shape. So what do we got? We got pretty much, May's almost damn near over. So we got June, July, August. 3.5 months till hunting season. Yahoo! 3.5 months till hunting season. I frickin' love it. I can't wait. But this gets me in shape because when I go hunting, man, we give her hard for 3 weeks. And you got to be in shape. So I'm working through the emails, you guys. I'm doing my best. I'm getting there. No, I'm not. Still got 360 plus emails to read, but that's okay. I got lots of time left yet. I ain't going anywhere. I was joking when I said if you never see me again. It ain't my time. I went and saw a psychic many, many years ago, and she's like, you're going to be here for a long time. You got a lot of life ahead of you, she said. You got a lot to do. You know what she said to me, the psychic that I went and saw? I went and saw her because of my dad, right? Because I was having a tough time dealing with my dad passing away and the little spat that him and I had. So I went and saw the psychic after he passed away. And you know what she said to me? She said, you got a lot of work to do on this planet. You got a lot of work to do. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been working my whole life. And she's like, no, not that kind of work. She goes, you have important work to do here. Didn't know what that meant. Still don't really know what that means, but maybe this is it. I don't know. This isn't work to me. But maybe she meant like sharing people's stories and helping people feel better about their encounters, their experiences. I don't know. But whatever. She said I got a lot of work to do. Anyhow, I don't know. Okay, we're going to try to get a couple emails read out here. I don't know what happened. Once again, I'm looking at the camera, and the freaking camera just starts going crazy, starts doing this, and shuts off. I don't know. Can't explain it. It's funny, somebody said to me a couple of videos ago, somebody said to me, dude, there's something crazy going on. Your camera's moving and it's following you. Who's doing that? And this, and I'm like, I just got to explain to people, no, it's my camera, you guys. It's this Osmo Pocket 3 from DJI. It's got facial recognition. So I can set it somewhere and I can just touch where, like I get on the screen of the camera or my phone, I can just touch my face and draw a box around myself and it'll follow me wherever I go. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of one of the reasons I bought that camera. But anyways, it's not a ghost. It's not some entity turning my camera around on me. All right, I got to get rolling here. Jeez, already know that right now it's going to be dark before I get back. But you know what? Don't matter. I got my Castle Seymours with me. I got my night vision goggles. And as I said, what I do with those night vision goggles is I don't use them like at my head. I find that hard to walk and do my thing. So what I do is I'm going to try to figure out some kind of a mount. I could put them on my head or something like that. But I just carry them and then I connect them to my phone, right? And then I'm walking like this and I'm looking at my phone sort of out in front of me and it's daylight all out in front of me. And the castles are just in my hand. So it's kind of cool that way because I find it hard to walk as I'm with them on my head, you know, kind of like they do in the army. You know, the military people, they have the ones that flip down, and I find that really hard. Maybe you get used to it, I don't know, but I just find it easier to be able to sort of have, you know, just have them in my hand and be watching my phone. But it's a great way to navigate at night. Okay. All right, here we go. So, I don't know what's going on with my notes here. I think my notes are all messed up. Whatever. These are probably out of order, but it don't matter. They'll all get read. Hello, Outlaw Country. I really enjoy your videos, as the outdoor hunting, fishing, and camping experiences, especially in the mountainous regions, are my passions. Right on. Mine too. I became interested in the Finding Bigfoot TV series several years ago. Over a time period of watching the series, it became obvious to me that the production of this show had nothing to do with science, but just pure theater. I couldn't agree with you more. I stumbled upon your videos on YouTube, and was I ever impressed with your knowledge of and experiences with these peoples. Because of you and others referenced by you, I knew my experience and beliefs were right on par. What better backdrop than the wilderness itself to discuss yours and others' experiences with these people? I live in Indiana, and although there are no wilderness areas in my state, other than Hoosier National Forest and several state forests, there have been numerous sightings, etc. My personal experience occurred in an area where Yellowwood and Morgan Monroe State's forests share a common border. On 2 different outings, while scouting for turkeys in the spring, I believe I had 2 encounters with these people, although no actual sighting of them. The first encounter, I heard a very distinct tree knock, followed by the sound of tree branches cracking as though something was upset with my presence. The sound of breaking branches, which sounded like the breaking of dead branches, lasted several minutes. I could hear something crunching leaves as it walked during the sounds of breaking branches. Some of the breakage sounded like good-sized dead tree limbs, as the cracking sound was really sharp and loud. I decided to leave the area once the activity stopped, not knowing what might occur next. The second encounter happened in the exact same location a week later. This time I was sitting quietly listening for turkeys, when all of a sudden I could hear something walking in the woods up to the edge of the overgrown field I was sitting in. I was approximately 20 yards from the sound. I looked in that direction, but could not see anything. I thought perhaps the sound was made by an approaching deer. I got a strange feeling I was being watched. After several minutes watching and not seeing or hearing anything in that direction, I decided to leave the area. Several weeks later, I returned to the same location when actively hunting turkeys, and decided to walk to the specific location where I heard the tree branches and dead tree limbs cracking and the sound of footsteps. First, I walked up to a large oak tree in the woods and could see numerous dead, broken tree limbs scattered around the oak tree. And then I found a young tree about 2 to 3 inches in diameter, snapped and splintered, still attached but bent downward, approximately 7 foot above the ground. Next to this young tree on the ground was a mounded area of soil covered by moss approximately 3 foot in diameter. I believe this mound to be natural. In the middle of this mound, it appeared like someone had stepped on it, leaving a partial impression of a footprint. No sharp edges you would expect from a hunting or hiking boot could be observed. I did take a photo of the snapped young tree. I enjoy your chats in the woods of British Columbia and reading emails concerning these people. Thank you for your time and efforts in producing videos that are clear, concise, and meaningful. I feel just like I'm present with you when you're on your hikes. You add value to my life, and thank you for that. Take care, Steve. Well, thank you very much, Steve. What a nice thing to say, that I add value to your life. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you sending your encounter into us. I've said it many, many times. I don't care if you think it's insignificant. If you think it's insignificant, well, then maybe don't send it in. But don't think just because you didn't have a face-to-face or you weren't looking right at one of these beings that you didn't have an encounter. If there's something that you go, I think that could have been a Bigfoot, or I think that could have been a Sasquatch, and you feel like sharing it, If you feel like sharing it, F everybody that doesn't think it's important or significant. Screw them. If you feel like sharing it, you share it. Okay? And I don't care what the encounter is. Okay? They all matter. They all have significance. Okay? So I appreciate that, man. And I appreciate that you know, people enjoy coming out and, you know, you're not out here with me, but you know what I mean. I enjoy what I do, and I love what I do, and I'm glad that you're all here along here with me. So appreciate it, Steve. Thank you so very much. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard those tree branches breaking, and especially when they're large trees. Like when a large tree breaks, you know the difference between a large, you know, a tree this size or that size or whatever, as opposed to a branch, right? You break a branch, right? Sounds like that. Whatever. But when a large tree breaks, you know it. Vocalizations, all right? You know it. So, very, you know, and you saw a footprint, right? So, you know, is it significant? Of course it is, man. It's stuff that you found in an area that you're out in, so it's very significant. And your information that you share, other people hear that, and they know what to listen for, and they may be out in the woods and they may hear something and go, oh, I remember hearing Steve's video on Outlaw Country that he heard that and saw that or whatever. So thanks again, brother, for sending that in, and thanks for the kind words. I really do appreciate it. All right, we're gonna do another one here. Thought I felt a raindrop. Cool. It's gonna rain on me now. Okay, again, I think the order of these emails, what I do want to share is, you guys remember Jeff Perea? Jeff Perea is a gentleman that sent me in the pictures. He sent me a bunch of pictures and a brief email with that bear skull stuck up onto a tree with a branch, right, you know, through the back of the head and the branch sticking out the mouth. And Jeff said that skull was way up a tree. Like, no person just picked that up off the ground and stuck it there. You can see the bear even had a little bit of fur on the top of the head there still. And he was in the middle of nowhere. You know, he was pretty remote, and he was turkey hunting when he found that skull. And then he found those structures. That almost would resemble possibly like a bedding area or something, and I included those pictures in that video from Jeff Perea as well. And I just want to read to you guys quickly what Jeff wrote to me here. Hey Darren, I know you have found that animal up the tree and wanted your thoughts on this find. And those are the pictures he sent me. We were turkey hunting recently in South Park, Colorado, and came upon what looks like a bear cub skull stuck on a branch of a pine tree. Could a human do this? Of course. The question is why? No carcass or bones anywhere near it, just the skull. We're half a mile from a remote dirt road. This just seems very bizarre to me. We all agreed it was kind of creepy, no matter who placed it there. The part that makes me think Sabe was involved was the amount of tree structures and breaks near the area. Again, he sent us pictures of that. Then we found these woven piles of wood on the ground. Those are the pictures. I've seen all the Sasquatch signs before, but this was different. Just seemed as if the area meant something to them. My wife saw one near here as a child, and Steve Isdall read her story on his podcast. I found prints on the ground over the years and seen enough to know they aren't around. They are around. I'm including the pics and just want your opinion on this. Much respect to you and Steve giving us an honest forum to discuss the subjects without any ridicule or bullshit. All the best to you and yours, Jeff Puria. You're very welcome, Jeff. Nope, no bullshit here, man. Ain't gonna be no bullshit here. And I do appreciate you sending those pictures through, I did post those on one of the other videos. As I said, you guys, I am not a damn expert. Holy shit. I'm a furthest thing from an expert on these beings. I'm not an expert on anything, to be honest with you. I'm a good woodsman. I pat myself on the back here. I'm a good hunter, very good hunter. I'm a good woodsman, but I'm not an expert on Bigfoot. I try to read as much as I can, gain as much knowledge as I can. But like the previous email, Steve, like what he said about some of the TV shows and stuff out there, finding Bigfoot, I guess, or whatever these are. Oh my word. Like, really? Absolutely ridiculous. People running out into the woods and setting up cameras and doing calls and going, oh yeah, oh, I heard one. Oh, I heard, like, oh my God. Not interested, not for me. There's some people out there. There's some people out there that I believe can go out and possibly see signs of them, of the beings, and possibly hear them, but they choose when to let you see them. They choose when to be seen, not you. And you certainly ain't gonna do it with some big freaking camera crew running behind you in the bush, hooting and hollering like an idiot. That ain't gonna happen. Okay, let's do one more here. One more. And then I'm out of here because I'm going to get in shit. Miss Outlaw's going to yell and scream at me. Darren, I have waited a bit to reach out to you again because I wanted to gather my thoughts. This is an accumulation of strange experiences that happened to me from about 2001 to 2007 in the Sierras in California. They might be nothing at all, but I'll let you be the judge of that. If you look at them individually, you can write them off, I suppose. But then again, who knows? I used to go camping in the Sierras once a year. We always went to the same place in the Emigrant Wilderness. Sonora was our last town we went through. October camping, our camping spot was 16 miles from the place where we parked the truck, as I recall. From where we camped, you could hike about half mile up to a ridge and see Half Dome up about 30 or 40 miles away. The trails we used were developed in the 1930s, I think, by the Civilian Conservation Corps. They are for the most part very nice. But make no mistake, this is wilderness. The first couple years, my buddy and I packed in for a week or so. Almost daily, we would see hikers and occasionally a pack train go by. After that, it became a tradition, and I would pay for a pack train. This allowed us to live large, as the saying goes. So I will tell you the strange occurrences in no particular order. Number 1, the first year we were warned of aggressive bears coming into camp to look for food. We had our food in containers about 15 feet up in the trees. We were sitting by the fire one night and started hearing branches break near our camp. My buddy got his pistol out and we were prepared for the worst. All of a sudden, a deer walks into our camp within about 10 feet of where we were sitting. She cruised on in and we heard no more. She was not in a hurry at all. I saw a video once of some hunters who saw a Bigfoot chasing a deer and the deer ran up to them. Possibly for protection? I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it. In 7 years, that's the only deer we saw. Number 2, I never heard any birds in 7 years. I always wondered about it and finally decided that maybe we were too high in altitude. We were below the tree line, maybe 7,000 feet elevation. Number 3, we would always let the pack cowboy load the horses, and we would take off. It was our goal to stay ahead of the horses. Well, one year, I tapped out going in uphill, and they caught us at about the 12-mile mark. I kicked my wife's friend off her horse and rode the rest of the way. She walked with my buddy, who was 12 years younger than me. That's another story. I was shocked and somewhat appalled by how this guy treated the animals. He was pushing them way too hard and in an unsafe manner. I've been around horses most of my life. The trails were not always groomed and there was a lot of broken rock. I said something about it and he brushed me off. I was seriously concerned that a horse might break a leg or stumble and pitch one of us down the hillside, which could have easily resulted in death. The horses stumbled several times, but did not go down, thank God. I thought he was cruel, but looking back, maybe he was scared. He was a hired hand. Number 4, one night in the middle of the night, I woke up suddenly. I mean, like wide awake. There had been no noise. I just lay there listening. A few seconds later, I heard what sounded like a woman screaming, maybe 50 yards from our camp. It was like nothing I'd ever heard in the woods. It lasted for about 1.5 seconds. That was it, nothing else. The next morning, I asked if anyone had heard the scream, and nobody else had heard it. That was insane. There were 4 of us in the camp, and no one heard it but me. It was very, very loud. The camp sat in a sort of bowl area, and the through trail wound around the back upper edge of the bowl. I walked up the trail to the spot where the scream came from and found two little pinches of bird down. I figured it was off the chest of a low roosting grouse. So I figured it was the death scream of a grouse or a screech owl. I didn't see any tracks. The trail was hard. It sounded exactly like a woman screaming. Number 5, one year on the way out, we hiked into a different, more secluded trail. We came upon a pack with about 40 pounds of stuff in it. No one was around. We scouted about and called, but nothing. The pack had been there a few days because it had been rained on. It had not been there over the winter or anything. We were very concerned, and when we reached the trailhead, we went to the packer's home to report it. He just acted weird and didn't want to talk about it. When we pressed him, he said, "Well, that happens quite frequently. People abandon their stuff." He was trying to shut us up. Well, there you have it. As I said, maybe as individual experiences, these things can be written off, but looking at them all together, I don't know. I didn't really start putting them together until I thought about writing you. This was about 10 years before I had my memory recall incident. Russell. P.S. I don't recall ever hearing you talk about your experience of being followed for 2 days on YouTube. Please, will you share more of that with us? Thanks. Thanks, Russell. Thanks for sharing that, man. Sierra Nevadas, eh? Everybody that knows about Bigfoot has heard about the Sierra Nevadas. Right? The samurai sounds. Moorhead. Ron Moorhead saddles the Sierra sounds, or the samurai sounds. Samurai chatter in the Sierra Nevadas. Robert, a good subscriber, long-time subscriber, Robert, he lives in the Sierra Nevadas. Oh boy. He lives in the Sierra Nevadas, and he's asked me to come down and visit him down there. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that one day. Wow, thanks, Russell. Appreciate it. You know what, man? Absolutely everything that you described there could be an encounter with one of these beings. Absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing. And everybody else should as well. Okay, I got to get going here. You know, I was telling a friend of mine, my good buddy, the other day, we were talking about hunting. Starting to talk hunting already because we got to put in for some draws and stuff for our hunts. Anyways, I was talking with him, and I don't know how it came up exactly, but I was probably only about 18 years old, quite young. And I was mule deer hunting in November. It was late November, hunting the mule deer rut, and I just had a shitty little tent, real shitty little tent. I didn't have very much money when I was younger, and so I couldn't really afford real good gear. I had a good gun, really good gun, and a good set of binoculars, and the rest of my gear was mediocre at best because I just couldn't afford good stuff. And I was on this mule deer hunt, camped way back in this draw at the base of the Alpine Mountain, and I knew that the mule deer migrated through there, and you just had to hit it at the right time. You had to hit it at the right time to be able to get the migration, because when the snow came heavy enough in the high country, that's when the deer started moving, and the rut also had an effect on it too. So anyways, I was camped up there, and I used to pack a little bit of food with me, and the food I used to carry back then was called Magic Pantry. I'll never forget it. There was nothing magical about it. It was absolutely awful. It was freeze-dried meals, and they were horrible. But that's what you could pack, because you could pack enough. One of those would be your food for the day, and they give you enough calories and energy to barely survive. So anyways, I was there for about 10 days in this little tiny shitty tent, and we're talking 15 below. Little shitty tent. I did have a good sleeping bag, and of course no heater or nothing. No, I was just in a little 2-person tent, and then I'd get a fire going at night outside the tent to try to keep me somewhat warm. But I'd sleep with my wool stuff on, and anyhow, you get the picture. I'm there by myself doing my thing, and I'm running out of food because the deer haven't come through yet. I didn't get my buck, so I'm running out of food. And so I started shooting grouse, and I used to carry, every time I did these hunts on my own, I used to carry a little pellet pistol, little 22 caliber pellet pistol, because I don't want to use my big rifle for shooting grouse. And I'd use that pellet pistol for shooting grouse. Anyhow, I'd gotten a couple of grouse or whatever, and I was on about day 10 or 12, and I was out of my meals, and I think I had like 3 grouse, and it was dark. It was like, well, it was only probably around 4:30, 5 o'clock, but it gets dark that early that time of year. And I'm sitting there at my little campfire cooking up my grouse, and this fucking guy, pardon my language, walks into my camp, and I could kind of hear him coming. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I grab my rifle, and this guy comes walking into my camp, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm kind of looking at him whenever he goes, hello in camp. And I got my gun on my lap, right? Finger on the trigger, 300 mag, 5 shells in it, 1 in the barrel, 4 in the mag. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at him, and he goes, hello in the camp. And I'm like, yeah, hello. And he goes, mind if I come in? And I'm like, no, not really. What am I going to say? Yes, I do mind. Anyways, he comes walking in, and he's probably only 5 years older than I was. I was about 18. He was probably in his mid-20s. And he looked like shit. Anyways, long story short, he goes, hey man, I saw the fire, and I'm on my way out of here, and I don't want to hike anymore tonight, and I saw the fire, and so I really wanted some company, and I just thought I'd come over and introduce myself. And he goes, my name's Rob. And so I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, Rob. I'm Darren. I'm like, what are you doing back here? And he goes, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm in here after trophy mule deer. And I'm like, oh yeah, where'd you come from? He told me. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I go, do you know so-and-so? Do you know Bobby? So I say, you know Bobby? Oh yeah. And he goes, oh yeah, I know Bobby. She runs the hotel and restaurant. And I'm like, okay, this guy's for real. He knows her, because Bobby could be a guy. And Bobby was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine that runs the hotel and restaurant in this little tiny town. So anyways, the guy comes in, and I said, okay, man, Rob, I shook his hand. And so I'm cooking grouse on the fire, right? And got the fire going, cooking grouse or whatever. And so I said, have a seat, man. I said, my tent's barely big enough for me, but you're welcome to set your tent up on the other side of the fire there if you want. He goes, oh, that'd be great, dude. Thank you so much. And so we start setting his tent up. And anyways, turned out to be a really nice guy. But he's sitting there, got his tent all set up. I'm cooking my grouse. Well, I start eating my grouse, and he just sits there by the fire and staring at the fire or whatever. And I go, you're not going to cook nothing to eat? And he's like, no, I'm not going to cook nothing. And I go, oh, all right, you're welcome to use the fire. And he's like, oh, to be honest with you, man, he goes, I got no food left. I haven't eaten, and this is the third day, my third day. And I haven't eaten nothing. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, I only had so much food. And he goes, I wanted to stay out and get my muley. And I pushed it. And he goes, so I haven't eaten for a couple of days, and that's why I'm heading out, because I got no food left. So I'm like, you haven't eaten in 3 days? This is your third day of no food? He goes, no, yeah, it is. He goes, but I'll be okay. He goes, I'll be at my truck tomorrow, the end of the day tomorrow, because from where I was a day's hike out to the road. He goes, I'll be back to my truck tomorrow. I got some food there, some emergency stuff. And anyways, I go, so I'm looking at him, and he's just staring at the fire. So I grabbed a grouse breast, the full breast with the wing, and I said, hey, Rob. He looks up, and I hucked him the grouse breast, and he catches it, and he looks at me, and he goes, you don't have to share with me, man. He goes, I'll be okay, seriously. I said, dude, eat the grouse. I said, I got 3 more here. We'll cook them up. I said, you haven't eaten in 3 days. I said, you got to be freaking starving to death. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty hungry. I said, eat. I'll cook more. And he goes, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. Eat. So we sat there, ate the grouse breast, and I did cook another whole bird up, and threw it in the pot and cooked it in the pot with some water. And then I broke it up. Into chunks, got rid of the bone in the water, and then I had a package of, I used to carry little tiny packages of like seasoning and gravy and shit like that, and I threw a thing of gravy in there and mixed up chicken stew, which is basically grouse water and instant gravy mix. But man, Rob was so happy. And when he left there the next day, he was like so thankful. And I had maybe like a pound or 2 of left of jerky, homemade moose jerky or elk jerky. So I gave him a chunk of that. Oh, I don't want to take your food. I said, take it, man. I got enough. And I said, that'll get you out to your truck. So he took that. And he was on his way the next day. So I stayed there 3 more days. 3 more days, because I was gone a total of 14 days. I stayed there 3 more days. Finally, on the last day, got my mule deer and boned it out. Took all the meat off the bones, threw it in my pack. About 160 pounds. 160-pound pack with horns and my gear, and headed out of there. And got to my truck, and I got to my truck, and there on the right at the door of my truck on the ground, there is a bottle of Canadian Club whiskey, rye whiskey. And slipped into the window, like stuck down on the window of the truck, was a piece of cardboard with Rob's name and phone number on it. And he said, "You're a scholar and a gentleman. I hope you were successful. Thank you so much for everything, Rob." And he left his number. And I thought that was pretty cool. And anyways, long story short, I got a hold of him about a week after I got out, just to make sure he was okay and everything went well and for him. And we stayed friends for a long, long time after that. And he was a lot like me. He hunted alone a lot. Him and I actually hunted together a few times. And but he hunted alone a lot, as did I. And he was just a good guy. And it was funny, about 6 years or 7 years later, maybe even longer than that, probably 6 or 7 years at least, he said to me, he goes, "You remember how we met?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, of course I remember how we met." I said, I was real close to putting a 190 grain lead from a 300 mag into you. I'm walking into a guy's camp like that, and we got a laugh out of it. He goes, "Man, not a lot of people would do what you did, you know that, right?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Not a lot of people are just going to share their food with a stranger." And I'm like, "Well, that would be pretty shitty if somebody didn't, Rob." And he goes, "Well, I'm telling you right now, a lot of people wouldn't do that." Anyways, it was kind of cool. And I haven't talked to him for quite a few years now. We did eventually kind of lose touch with each other, but that shit happens. But it was pretty cool nonetheless. So, all right, I have got to find my way out of here because I'm kind of turning around right now. But that's what happens when you talk. Your mind goes somewhere else. You really got to pay attention when you're in the woods. Your mind gets off track because you're talking about something else. So I got to pay attention a little bit here, find my way out of here, get to my truck before it gets dark. Okay, guys, time for me to sign off. You take care. Everybody take care. Be safe. And be a good person. Be a good person. Do something nice for someone. Buy somebody a coffee one day. You know what I mean? Okay, I gotta let you go so I can find my way to my truck. I think it's that way. Okay, take care, people. I'm out.